Arteta, Graeme, I mean, you can identify with this. He's been given time, isn't he? And he's certainly been given backing.
Yeah, he early on, there was a period where it was quite gloom for him. He's obviously got the reassurances from up above. I think Arsenal have been very clever in doing that. I like him. I think you go back to Aubameyang, another major decisions he's made. He's acted like a big manager, a strong manager. He acted like a manager that was going to give himself longevity in the job. If you roll over to the big players and they are appearing to be calling the shots in the dressing room, your tenure would be short. I think by doing that, he put a marker down that told everyone in that dressing room, I am the boss. Do not mess with me. You're going to be here and you're going to be playing and obeying my rules. You're going to do what I want to do, not what you want to do. And I think in the modern game, that's more difficult. I think all the successful teams in history have had a strong manager, and I like what he's doing. I didn't
look at where they are,
the weekend, but I like what he's doing.
Look at where they are. I mean, can we take them seriously now as title contenders?
I've said this before, Jim. I think everyone's playing for second. If Man City have a good run with injuries, of course they'll get injuries, but if Man City stay clear of the main men getting injured for long periods of time, I think everyone's playing for second place. And we are only 9 games in. We are 9 games in. This is new territory for these Arsenal players. Let's see how they deal with it. If they were to stay there and the pressure mounts, could they deal with it? They will have their injury problems. They will have loss of form problems. But right now, I mean, they're certainly playing fabulous football. They lost the game at Old Trafford, a game they shouldn't have lost. So they'll be thinking they're the real deal. But it's a long, hard... I would say to them, if I was in their dressing room, it is a long, hard season. To win the Premier League, you don't win it by accident. You win it because you've been the very best.
Is there much in it? What are City showing you that Arsenal aren't?
They've got better players and they've got better strength and depth. And right now they've got Haaland, who, well, how do you stop him? But that's a challenge for Arsenal. Arsenal will be happy. Of course, will be delighted where they are. They can get tucked in there and keep talking up Man City, as I'm sure Mikel Arteta will, and try to take the pressure off his own players. But if they keep going, of course they're in with a shout. But I believe that teams are playing for second place this year already.
So Simon Jordan, the ball's in your court. Arsenal title contenders.
To a degree. I mean, I think the journey that he's been on has been an interesting one, because he comes in 1920 in the middle of COVID, wins an FA Cup. You think they've set the blue touch paper. You have the Aubameyang egg timer, so we've got to wait and see how much money he's going to be on. Then you have the 2021 season where they finished 8th, and people could have twitched them. Then you have the 21-22 season when last year, when you look at the fact that people thought that if he didn't come back and beat Norwich, he could lose his job. They beat Norwich, and then you have this moment in time where he steals defeat from the jaws of victory by finishing the season poorly and allowing Tottenham to nick that 4th spot. Yet they stay with him, because clearly the Aubameyang decision was one that I doubled down on. Graeme is absolutely right. Martin Keown was in a different position because of the player welfare mentality, that Aubameyang should be kept and the manager should prostitute himself to get past a short-term bump. What he did was, he said, no. I don't believe he took the biggest guy out in the dressing room. I believe the situation came his way and he didn't flinch from it. He didn't back down. He decided that there wasn't some manufactured circumstance. This guy was taking liberties and he was going to consequence him. The signings that he's made, from Odegaard through to Zinchenko through to Jesus, Jesus looks like a completely different player in terms of his ability on the ball. So you've got a guy that moved, from my view, from somebody that started with the chops, started to move into theory and no practice, is now moving into practice. Can they win the league? I don't think so. But right now, this is first of all, Arsenal don't know what it's like to win a league as a football club for 18 years. No one in this football club, besides perhaps a few of the people that are around at the board still, know what it's like to win a Premier League, including the manager.
You want to say something?
Albeit he's a coach of Man City. I got that.
Yeah.
I can remember being on Sky and saying, I hope he's not, because he was buying lots of young players and they weren't quite ready, and the results proved that to be the case. And I said, I hope he's not buying players for the next manager.
Yeah.
But it's not turned out like that. I think it's if you're an Arsenal supporter, there's a great deal to be happy about.
With. Yeah.
And you know that the owner is extremely, extremely wealthy. and he can compete with anybody he wants.
Arsenal
Anybody.
fans have got their feet in the ground, Graeme. I've got to say, we're happy with the progress.
He hasn't wanted
Title
to.
contenders,
No,
not yet.
But if he gets an indication that this thing's going in the right direction, not going. If he gets an indication that
Kroenke.
they're about to take off, he
But the
could
interesting thing
support
with
them.
Kroenke, we called him Silent Stan, and what they did for years and years was they ran on the fumes of being able to constantly qualify for the Champions League, keep on generating the financial cash cow that Arsenal was, and keep on making profits. I said 3 years ago on a show, this is an arm's length subsidiary for an American business, and as soon as it starts to bite him on the backside, he will start to change his thought process about it.
Yeah.
Now
And
they've
what
had to invest
happened?
money. They've had to invest money because they started losing money.
Yeah.
His son came here and got involved, and maybe
Josh,
he's got his fellas there,
yeah.
and maybe he's pushing them to spend the money.
And maybe the European Super League gave everybody a kick up the backside and concentrated their minds because they had to play to the gallery and start to win the fans back with certain signings. But they've spent money, Arsenal. They've spent money.
I have to say, Arsenal are a class act. Arsenal, in my time, I've always been, I think, the standards that everyone should aspire to. You know, really, when I was a quick story, I'm a player at Liverpool. I came out one night where I think we'd beaten them in the semi-final of the League Cup, Anfield. Came out, got in my car, and I'm sitting looking at the most modern bus. This is maybe 10:15, modern bus, laid out, silver service, white tablecloths, a guy dressed as a chef, always had a microwave on this brand spanking new bus. We were travelling around a bus that was 20 years old. We were the European champions.
Yeah.
You know, the marble halls of Highbury. Arsenal have always been a class act.
Yes. There's somebody just saying, temper it down, guys. There you go. Typical media on talkSPORT, trying to build us up later to tear us down. Arteta has constantly tempered expectations. Yes, he has. We're not building you up to tear you down. We're just telling you as it is at the moment. I wonder what we can expect later on, though, Simon. At 2-2, a penalty awarded, and there were some heated exchanges, as you can see there. That's in the Times this morning. FA investigates flashpoint at the Emirates. I mean, Graeme, you'll have been involved in umpteen incidents like that, but maybe it's what was said. Michael Oliver very, very close to it, and now we're going to wait and hear what the FA say later on. The FA are saying in the 76th minute, we're aware of an incident that took place during the match between Arsenal and Liverpool. We are in dialogue with the match officials. We might hear today, we might hear tomorrow. I mean,
it's the penalty you're referring to.
Correct.
When Jesus has thrown himself to the ground, Thiago's stretching as much as he can. He can't be hurting anyone stretching like that. Jesus goes down with a great big scream. A penalty is awarded. In my opinion, no penalty. And I fully understand why. Is that a picture of Jordan Henderson?
Jordan Henderson and Gabriel.
Yeah, I know the teams I played in, there'd be a lot more than me confronting the referee if that decision had gone against her.
Yeah,
that
we're not
was
sure.
Never a penalty.
We're not
never
sure
a penalty.
If the flashpoint it refers to the awarding of the penalty or to something that was said in an exchange.
Well, I think what's been said more.
Yeah.
That was never a penalty. I don't think there's a football player on that pitch, including all the Arsenal players, thought that was a penalty. If you look at Thiago's completely outstretched, his legs out there, and Jesus goes down as if he's been poleaxed. Nah. So I understand the anger and the frustration from the Liverpool players there.
Yeah. So in Liverpool, Graeme, worst start to Premier League season for 10 years. And again, some Liverpool fans will be out there saying it's early. Well, yeah, it is relatively early, but nobody expected this. Is Klopp suffering from a 7-year itch here, or is it 2 wins from 8, more of a decline than a blip?
I don't see the comparison with Mainz and Dortmund. I don't see it being a 7-year thing.
It's incredible though, Graeme.
Yeah, but I think it's just a gigantic coincidence. I mean, what should he do? What should a manager do?
3 clubs, year 7, it seems to implode.
If you've had success going down a certain road, do you all of a sudden change it? He'd be saying the same things he was saying today as he was saying when he walked through the doors on day one.
Does he not recognise certain things that need to change? Maybe there's certain things that personnel needs to change. Maybe he needs to freshen up. Yeah,
it's not him.
2 wins out of 8.
But he makes the decisions about personnel. Well, so if he's blinded by some innate sense of loyalty or belief that he can get another season out of a group of players that maybe needs to change up. Ferguson didn't.
He's not faultless. The manager's not faultless. But what I'm saying, I'm talking about the 7 years thing. Forget that. It's an absolute tosh.
What? A coincidence?
Yes, just a coincidence. Complete coincidence.
So
that's what I think of it.
The pattern was set after 7 years at Mainz. Then the pattern was set after 7 years at Borussia Dortmund.
I think it's just a coincidence. Where I think they've made a mistake, and I said this early season, I think the midfield is screaming out for strengthening. You know, you've got Thiago Silva, Thiago. So Thiago, Alcantara, who at 31, you got Jordan Henderson 32, Milner 37, Fabinho 28, which is the perfect age for where he plays. Young players coming through. Keita for me isn't good enough. I think that was a very obvious area that needed to strengthen, and that comes down to the manager.
I'm going to throw myself into the area of expertise that you occupy, but do you think Liverpool start the game switched on? I watched the first minute of that game and I thought they looked asleep. They looked asleep defensively, and the moment that ball went wide to Saka, I thought they're going to score here because Liverpool looked so asleep. Now, what's that then?
Simon, I'm sure in your tenure as chairman of Palace, you would have been in the dressing room many times. I don't know if you stayed right to as the guys were going out the door to play a game. The last thing you'd hear up and down the country,
be ready,
start well. Yeah. Let's make sure we start right. Every coach, every manager, that's the last thing you say to them. Make sure you start right.
But when they stop listening,
I don't think they stop listening, because I don't need, as a big player, to have my manager tell me I'm going to start right.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.